Hello everybody, this is Joseph Harden, reporter for LANCESCURV. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope to step two, step two, step two, step two, step two. Pick it, let's break it down. Now, I had to start off with a little bit of a hip-hop slant to it. We all know that hip-hop is like the cultural barometer for what's going on in the country. It kind of tells the temperature and what's hot and what's not, and what the people, specifically the young people, the people who are going to shape and make the country for years to come, where their heads are at and what they are into, and what sort of things they find appealing and worthwhile to discover or to uncover or to report on, or to just basically show their likes and dislikes, as I've mentioned. And it's been wild. It's been wild for the last couple of years, it seems, maybe a good 2 or 3 years. There has been an amazing emphasis in hip-hop music on ratchet culture. Ratchet culture. It's been bubbling for years and been building for years, but ratchet culture has just seemed to have taken over in hip-hop music, which I think helped spread that message across the world and across the country, and you see it everywhere. You see the fights on YouTube, and you see the crazy attitudes and the things that are flying out of some of these men and women's mouth. Mostly the ladies nowadays. Is weird. I'll get into that in a minute, but it's kind of strange to watch it go down like this. It's like this stuff has always been around. There's always been, the sort of hood or ratchet, or, well, hood is different from ratchet. Hood is just having some sort of a street edge that comes from, the ghettos or the lower financial level communities. And so with people who don't have anything in terms of currency and economics, economically, in terms of currency and physical money or even assets, they traditionally have traded in cultural currency, where ideas and artistic expression and things like that sort of get in there. So, back in the day with hip-hop, when it was first created and first, embraced by different communities and different regions, and people starting to do their own expression of the art form that was, I'm a little Southern, so you're going to hear a little bit of a Southern drawl in there every now and then. But when you hear these people express, using the techniques of hip-hop, express themselves and to report on and to give you a window into their ways of life from different regions, but a lot of it having connected threads because of the fact that we're all still marginalized people making the music. And that's been a good way for people to learn about our communities. And the lessons that are getting out there now, and the looks that we're given at this point, have gone crazy. But I digress a little bit. I'll get all of that in just a second. But you had hip hop coming out, and it was creative and expressive, and these artists took time to enunciate, and they made sure that the way that they were giving their message out there, even though it had a street edge to it a lot of times, it was still going to be clear, coherent, and it was still going to be something that we wanted to show the people. It wasn't something that we weren't unveiling these darker sides and celebrating them like we are now. It's so weird. You had your Grandmaster Flashes and the Furious Five. You had your Melly Mel talking about the message. You had your Queen Latifahs out there. You had your MC Lights, your Cool G Raps, your Rakim, your Wu-Tang Clans, your Tupac, your Biggie, your Little Kims, your Missy Elliott's, Timbaland. You know, you had all of these artists from different, then you get the, you know, West Coast, you know, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, all of them, even Eminem, Midwest. So you had all of these artists who were giving you street edge, but they were very meticulous and artistic in what they brought to the table. They brought certain lyrical prowess. They brought certain fashion. They brought certain styles of expression that really captured the nation's attention. And they got the nation they got the nation's attention and held it to the point where hip hop has become the biggest form of musical expression on the planet. Now, what are these folks doing now? I want to say kids, but some adults acting stupid too. Well, they're all adults, but some of the older heads are even acting as ridiculous as some of these kids. They're being led by the ones they should be leading. And so, think about that. We got our major cultural export, the thing that tells everyone about Black America, or so they think. You know, there's more to us than just hip hop, but there's a lot of people of color doing hip hop music. So that's where people are going to more than likely encounter, unless they live around people of color. That's where they're going to encounter people of color. They're going to encounter us through the music. And so when the music is saying things like Sexy Red's Ussy Pink, Booty Hole Brown, and ready to go to Pound Town. Now, I know she came out with that a little bit ago, and then I was so taken aback by that, frankly, dumbass fucking rhyme. You know, I was so taken aback by it that I was like, who is this person with this really terrible cadence, awful lyrics, ratchetness? And I started doing a little more research on her. And Sukihana, that's another one. They did a whole hip-hop video, these two in particular, Sexy Red and Sukihana, or whatever the fuck her name is, did a whole video in front of Popeye's Chicken in a strip mall in the hood. Now, we used to have stuff like that way back in the day. You might have a little ratchet video where it was a one-off or two-off where you saw that every now and then. A lot of times you had to watch BET Uncut at midnight when people weren't up in the in the daytime. People who were still up high on drugs watching that. So whatever, that's an echo chamber for them. You know, that's just reinforcing exactly what they already do and what they believe in. You know, that's different than that mess being broad daylight, prime time, or early in the morning or late in the afternoon, ubiquitous because of the internet. You know, which is just a tool. The internet is just a tool. You know, whatever you do with it is what the real power of destruction or building is. You know, the tool is just a tool. A knife is just a knife until you turn it on your community or turn it on yourself. Otherwise, it's just cutting up food, and that's a good thing. Always good. So, you have Sukihana, whatever her name is, and Pussy Pink, Booty Hole Brown girl, Sexy Red, who went to, like, this chick went to a freaking high school. You know, just to digress from what the Popeyes incidents, she went to a high school. A high school hired her to go to their school campus and to perform for the kids. This wasn't an adult nightclub at 10 o'clock at night where these people could hear those sort of lyrics and have her holding up bricks of money to her ear like a cell phone, like one of those old style cell phones that were super huge like that. This was now, 2023, school hours. And the school hired her, and she's at the school. When I tell you those kids ran up to her when she walked in the building like she was the Beatles, it was sad knowing the type of message she puts out there. But, and before she did a video where she was rapping in a weave store with a white dude standing behind her looking like her pimp. And she's sitting up there rapping slow, offbeat. Lyrics sounds like she's the slow cousin. Not to disparage the mentally disabled, but don't give her a mic. But yeah. So Sukihana and Sexy Red are rapping in front of Popeyes with this 6'7" lady, I assume, dancing with cut up jeans, everything hanging out. The jeans are just shredded. The jeans are shredded, popping in front of Popeyes. People just looking on like, what is this ratchet mess? And they're making all these stank faces and saying some of the most vulgar, ridiculous things that aren't even clever. Like, that's the thing. If you're going to be vulgar and you're going to pull the Little Kim move, and these chicks make Lil' Kim look like a nun. But Little Kim's point was never to be a nun. She always expressed her sexuality, and she used it as a dominating thing to stand toe-to-toe with these guys who used their sexuality to show you who they were. So it made sense. It was all a part of what hip-hop is. It's self-expression, but put out on a global level to let folks know where they're from and what it's like in these parts of the world, in these parts of the country. And so when they're out there rapping, looking like two minstrels, the only thing these chicks were missing were a couple of watermelons to juggle. They should have had that big tall person, whoever they were, to just juggle watermelons while they're out there rapping and trying to sing and sounding with the mush mouth rap and all of that stuff. Like, that's what's being put out there. They're rapping, eating Popeye's chicken, rapping. Not that, no corporate sponsorship. Popeyes ain't paying you to go out there and clown yourself, but they're getting free advertisement while you denigrate and make your neighborhoods and your people and your gender and all of that look like filth. There's something about Sukihana that is like, she always looks like she's filthy. She recently had this YouTube, or not YouTube, this Instagram upload where she was pulling this journalist, I guess, who comes around with her, I guess, maybe interviewing her on stage while she was at some sort of stripper event or whatever. Either she was performing or they were in a club that had a strip pole in it where the girls were just hanging out in that part, and this girl looked like she was about, this woman, journalist, looked like she was a white lady. She was about maybe in her 20s or something, but she looked like she was in her teens. Now, while Sukihana is wearing all of this lady of the night strip shit, you have the journalist, the one who's following her around with a camera, as this white girl in jeans, no makeup, white t-shirt, tucked in. They pulled her on the stage thinking they were connecting with her, which that lady probably was making them think, oh, we're connected, and I'm going to tell your story, blah, 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 blah. And Sukihana's drunk or high or something looking. I don't know if she was or wasn't, but she sure looked it at that time in the club to me. And she went ahead, pulled this lady on stage, or into the little VIP section or whatever that was, for her to start going on the pole just like she was. Slapped her on the back and was like, yeah, come on, girl, act like me. Act like a ratchet hoe. That's what we do, don't we? Yeah, empowerment. And she just stood there knowing good and goddamn well that she was on camera, that she didn't want to put her people out like that, herself out there like that, her gender out there like that. She sat up there with this chick who she probably spent a lot of time making comfortable so she could let loose and give her all the type of writing and content that she could use for her whatever magazine or show or whatever she works for. I think she works for the Shade Room or something. I might be wrong. But that girl stood up there, arms crossed, jeans on, white t-shirt tucked in, white looking young girl, and was like, no,
Didn't do one move, didn't do one bop, one nothing. Didn't even do a two-step. Just stood up right there. She like, looked at me like she was saying, look, bitches, y'all not about to make me lose my engagement. Because that's what those ladies have in mind when they're not doing those sort of things. But our community somehow feels very comfortable and empowered to do really ratchet, dumb things. The girls and the boys. Boys are out there talking about being depressed and high and perk this and side chick that. Like, where are we going with this? Where is this going? There's only one place to really go with this type of bull crap. To hell. Whether that hell be jail, whether it be actual hell, or whether it's the hell of a fucked up environment, neighborhood, marriage, family life. There's only one place. And it's all hell. I'm not getting on some, everybody needs to do Christian rock music or Christian rap music and all of that thing. I enjoy my different forms of music. Not all of it is sanctified or just religious oriented. But when we're going the whole other side, the whole left side with it, where the music that our communities are putting up, people who we've given money and riches, luxury, and a way out for themselves to go out into the world, the message they're bringing back about us through their very presence is demons and like everybody's a demon now. They're talking about demon time and demon sex and like, are you listening to yourselves? Then dressing up like that. Nicki Minaj, as far as I can tell, was the first one to make it super mainstream, because we've always had people in our past who, when you live a perverse existence in these hoods and these ghettos and these lower income brackets and the oppression that America gives you, you start expressing that stuff. We're very good at that, from jazz and folk and hip hop, R&B, dance music of all types. All of these things created by black people to express the joys and the pains of our existence on this world and in this country. And so when these folks, these new rappers and these cultural ambassadors go out there with pussy pink, booty hole brown, we gotta take a step back and go, wait a minute, we are empowering you to depower us. It's not right. It's not right for us. Like, you keep that mess in a strip club somewhere, you keep that mess at a juke joint somewhere, you keep that mess at a bachelorette party or a bachelor party or in a deep, dusty, dark club where all of that shit belongs. You don't see them jumping on TV with a crack pipe or a line of drugs on a mirror and it being okay. But essentially, that's what they're doing. They're showing reckless behavior nonetheless. Just a different form of reckless behavior. They might as well be doing that mess on TV, on the internet, in posts, in, Instagram videos and news feeds. Like, the whole thing is weird. Doja Cat even, who's supposed to be a pop and hip hop star. Paint the town red. I'm a demon lord. What? Fuck you just say? She said she tried to slip that in. Like, wait a minute. Again, not to be on a whole religious slant with it, but, you gotta wonder what this sort of thing does to the consciousness and some call soul of the people, to refer to themselves as these demonic, moaning, sort of, like they're embracing this fate and this existence that is detrimental to themselves and everybody they're throwing that message out there to. I'm not calling for people to get banned and things like that. I do call for people to try to embrace things that are more creative and more, like, just way more creative and way way more of life affirming than that type of crap. Because the things that we embrace in terms of music hit us harder. We don't have money and all of this power and things in this country a lot of times to lean into that hardcore BS like that, because that sort of thing might affect, you know, the mythical Timmy, you know, you know, what they love to call, you know, the white children Timmy and all that stuff. And so a lot of times their families, due to a history of systemic racism and things like that, they have a way out if their kids start getting effed up on drugs. Or if they have a hoe phase. They can afford all types of clandestine meetings with, you know, doctors to get that mess knocked out, as they say, a harsh way to call an abortion. You know, they know they have the money, the resources, the people behind them in their corners to make a lot of these things go away. Our kids don't have that luxury. So to have them dwelling and rolling around and the misery of it all, like it's a party, it's hellish. And they're really gonna see. Like, we're raising kids on things like this. You know, the good thing about the generations is that they love to try to fight back from BS. So maybe the next generation will go the other way with it. They'll turn the thing around. But the way this generation is going, with all this Percocet popping, side chicken, you know, disrespect for marriage, disrespect for themselves, disrespect for everything that we should be holding dear, and the hip-hop cultural purveyors, the tastemakers and the kingmakers of this world, we are making it very hard for ourselves by embracing these people, these clowns, these buffoons who come in here and make us look terrible. And then they do interviews, and it's so hilarious. And they have that same voice of the kids. It used to be you could tell with the kids which ones were a little bit of a problem, a little more misguided, a little more street poisoned. All of these kids who would talk with, they're not used to communication, effective communication in their own homes, and how to open their mouths when they speak and have intelligent things come out. So it's like dog. They have a whole cadence, accent, and way of speaking that sounds like they're not being educated. No one's taking time with them in the house to learn anything. They're relying on the same institutions that they don't trust to teach their kids, and it shows by the way these people are talking. With even within the last generation, hip hop artists have been notoriously well educated. A lot of these people who even seem like they're hoodlums and things like that were college educated guys. People who were doing their craft for 10, 8, 5 years. RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan had a theory where he said, by the time that a lot of you guys met us, the former, the ones who were the New Jacks back in the 90s and things like that, by the time you met us, we had already been 10 years in the game before we got our record deal. So they had practice. They had already honed their art to the point where now they can be cultural purveyors and even want to and desire to have that role. These kids out here, these folks out here, I'm going to stop calling them kids because they are way too grown to do that. But they come out here sounding crazy. They're 1 or 2 years, they upload one TikTok video, they upload 1 or 2 Instagram, Insta-fame songs, and now they're throwing multi-million-dollar contracts at these folks, and then getting $1 million or 2, but then they're making 20, 30, 40, 50 million off of them. And then they have insurance on these artists a lot of these times, so if they die, they make some more money. And then the paths they send them down, the paths that they embrace are ones of destruction. So, hey, win-win. It's crazy. These are the voices of the generations and the voices of our communities. And it's a choice. We have to find a way to block some of this mess out in terms of keeping it out of your own homes. You don't have to march on anybody. You don't have to protest anybody. You don't have to. It would be. I wouldn't even feel right protesting Sexy Red because she's such a joke that I shouldn't have to. It's beneath even protesting. But we're not above taking some control over what we're going to allow ourselves to consume, what we're going to allow our families to consume, and what we're going to actually... Kids, the parents are the first teachers anyway. So when you start showing that you're into some of that stuff a little bit, but then they take on the more extreme version of it, it's not even a surprise. They're going to go further with whatever they were raised with and push that to an edge. Unless they hate you, then they'll try to rebel against it or something in some ways. But if we start embracing some better lyrical content or better representations, more intelligent representations of who we are and where we come from, then it might instill some sort of pride in our communities and our kids' selves to the point where they decide to take it from there and do something with it for themselves. But this way that they're going, and the way that it was being marketed to them, is not the way. And it's not the way to anything positive. It's the way to everything that's not, though. It's crazy. Sukiyana and then, oh yeah, I almost forgot. When she went to the school that I was talking about, they ran up there. The adults had already told the kids not to run up when Sexy Red went to the school, like I mentioned, with her Pound Town. The school, whoever hired her to do that ought to be checked into. Like, anyway, but I digress. So, when the administration told the kids, we told you not to jump up when she came in and rush her, basically. And she was, she was embracing of the kids, too, when they came up. She seemed like maybe a little bit, she didn't show it outwardly, but she may have been a little bit taken aback by them rushing from the whatever, like anybody would be. But, so she went out there, and once they told her, nope, we're stopping the whole thing, you guys are not going to get her now, blah, 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 they disappointed the kids. But she went outside, jumped on the roof of a truck or something, or a car, and did her performance, which is going to endear her to these kids with that messed up message that she has. Maybe she was trying to save her money. She's like, y'all ain't about to cancel my show and think that I ain't going to get this money. Motherfucker, that's the only reason I'm out here. But the kids. So she basically went out there, and then the kids rushed out there, listened to her performance in the parking lot anyway. So whatever. There's something rebellious and things that kids like about stuff like that. That's cool to a kid. So that's gonna make her even more fans. But they're talking about having all of this recklessness and this depravity of themselves. I worry more about what they're doing to themselves and the kids who follow them. Because a lot of these other kids from other communities and other backgrounds and other ethnicities, they're going to be all right. Their parents have resources to make stuff go away, or they know how to snap back out of it because they don't live that little tour that they take through the hood. That little tour where they take when other kids have to live in it for the rest of their lives with their kids and creating more generations of poverty and destruction. Those kids can take a little tour through it. Ooh, I had a crazy wild summer. Or I had a crazy wild 20s. Ooh, but now I'm in this corporate office. Now I'm president of the United States. Remember, Bush was a whole cokehead. He was a cokehead. They ain't cleaned his ass up until he was 40, and he still made it to being a president because of those resources and that family and that history. He had more opportunities. We don't have that opportunity. We don't have that luxury. We don't have that privilege. We need to do way more cultural guard and gatekeeping on what we let out there to influence other people to think is normalized, and what we present to the world
so that they don't automatically have these assumptions that we hate so much about who we are. It's good being back, and this is Joseph Harden reporting for LANCESCURV Show. Y'all have a good one.
Make sure to go to LANCESCURV.com, an online magazine established in 2001, containing written articles, thousands of talk shows and discussions, cutting-edge cartoons, as well as erotic expressions and tasteful adult photography. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Once you get a taste of the world of LANCESCURV, trust me, you'll be back for more. LANCESCURV.com. Bold, raw, and uncut.
So, my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth.